All right. Hello, hello, hello. I do believe we are live. Let me see if we are live. Are we loud and clear coming through? All right. We are. We are live and we are coming through loud and clear. Let me see. Joe Bob Tar Heel is in the chat. Can you hear us loud and clear, Joe Bob? All right. Good, good, good. Okay. Everybody's in the chat. Everybody's doing well. All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Well, hello and welcome to this is episode 13 of season 8 of the Sausage Factory. Hold on a second. I think I've got the wrong screen here. I've got the wrong screen up. Okay. That's a bad one for me. People can only see me and not the rest of y'all's beautiful faces. So let me fix that real quick. All right, there we go. There's everybody. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. All right, so we are... All right, we're here. We're here. Well, hello and welcome to episode 13 of season 8 of the Sausage Factory. I'm your host, Pizzal. And joining me tonight, I have got somebody pounding that keyboard.
That's me. I'm sorry.
Pound that sucker. But I've got with me tonight the Obsoletionist. What's up? What's up, Gibbs? How's it going, man?
Good. Back from the basketball court, ready to take a piss on some fan service.
Oh, nice.
How are you?
Doing very well. Doing very well. Good to see you again. It's been a little while, but
Yes, good to be back.
Been out there on the basketball court, schooling those noobs on the courts.
Yelling at some referees,
Yeah, there you go. Lacing up those old school Jordans. I've got a funny story involving some Jordan shoes. If you guys want to hear it later, just remind me. But also with me tonight, Stone Gassman. What's up, Stone? How you doing, man?
I'm just surviving in the Big Apple as usual. Just enjoyed some dinner, some beef tacos, and and just finishing off with a little milk and sativa. So I'm pretty good right now.
I can imagine you're probably doing better than any of us. So,
Did you say milk and sativa?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You're doing better than me.
Well, the beef tacos. I mean, that puts it. You're doing a lot better than me. Then you're like, some milk and sativa. I mean, my God, you're living the dream. But good to see you, Stone. Also with me tonight is Lauren, visited by Voices One. How you doing, man?
I'm never going to dance again because guilty feet have got no rhythm.
I hear that the number one cause of people never dancing again is guilty feet.
Well, I really should have known better than to cheat a friend.
Well, you should have.
Hey, how are you, man?
I thought that was common knowledge, but I'm doing good. Just hanging out. Cold day here in Kentucky, but got the heater on here beside me. So.
Yeah, we all love our space heaters and our extension cords and our faulty wiring.
Oh my God, I love it. It's like peanut butter and jelly. Just go together.
So, I was very excited today because my copy of the public domain titled "The Phantom" from 1931 showed up. So I'm continuing my trek to own all the existent 1930s horror films. I have a long way to go, but I'm about a quarter of the way there already. I already owned all the Universal titles and some of the Fox titles. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to go decade by decade and see if I can get all the classic years covered. I mean, obviously, when I get to the 60s and 70s, it's going to get pretty much impossible. But up till then, I think it's possible, and I really look forward to it. I did check out the first 10 minutes of this so far, and it's a transfer of 16 millimeter, and it looks pretty good on my screen, so I'm pretty happy.
Oh, cool.
I'm an easy man to make happy. Give me an old horror film, and I'm good.
There you go. Very nice. Also with me tonight's Jay the Stingray. What's up, Stingray?
What is up, guys? Glad to be here, as always.
What are we drinking tonight?
This is Nice brand. That's Walgreens' generic brand of French roast.
Ah, very nice. How have you been?
Good, man.
Good.
Can't complain.
Very good. Very good. And with me tonight also is Christian. What's up, Christian? How are you?
I'm good, Piz. It's been raining for like 6 days over here. I'm ready for some sun.
Damn.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, it puts you in a damper. Like, I'm good, but like, oh my God, I need some sunlight.
I think all the rain that we got has blown over there to you guys, because we got like days and days and days of rain. Just
Yeah, we've had a lot of flooding here.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of flooding here in this area too. So
Yep. I did watch The Crazies for the first time. I liked it.
nice.
And I did Curtains, which was pretty cool. I liked Curtains. That was a creepy mask, man. So no complaints on either of those two. So
Yeah, I actually I got that same Blu-ray of The Crazies. It was supposed to come in yesterday, and I was going to open it on my live Mail Day video with Jeremy, but it didn't show up. But it
oh man,
showed up today.
Dude, I loved it. Like, I really liked that movie a lot. I like George's movies, man. I'm ready to watch more. I need to. I think it's called Season of the Witch. It's one of the last ones I haven't seen from the 70s, I think. So, and I started drinking Mountain Dew Zero Sugar, and I am obsessed. Obsessed with it.
Very nice.
Wow. I love it.
I did try the Cherry Coke Energy that Lauren and somebody else was hyping up on the last episode of the show, I believe, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it only gets more addicting.
Well, I only had the one can, so you know.
And that's sugar-free as well?
It is.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Oh, well, no. It's available regular and sugar-free. So it depends what
I probably had the sugar-rich version, probably.
So, Christian, is the Zero better than like Diet Mountain Dew?
It has a little bit less, I want to say sodium. I think it's got 20 milligrams less.
I mean, just like flavor-wise.
Oh, no, dude. It tastes exactly the same as Diet Mountain Dew. A little bit more carbonated, I think. So, I mean, it's got a little bit more bite to it. Dude, I'm a Mountain Dew freak.
Me too.
I drink a lot of diet soda, probably way more than I should, but you know, Diet Pepsi and Diet Mountain Dew. But now this Zero Sugar, dude, I'm telling you, I just bought like 4 cases today just to stock up, man. I love it.
I hear you. Well, let's see what's going on out in the chat tonight. We've got a lively chat going on. Movie Man 95 is here. Jer Penn is here. Joe Bob Tarhill, Joe Caraluzzo, Jeff Overing. Let's see who else is with us tonight. Captain Halloween, hello. The White Trash Jedi, how's it going, buddy? Radioactive Blob Fuel, hello. Dave Shaw, hello. Devin Dungan, Josh O'Brien. So how you guys doing tonight? Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hope you all are doing well tonight. So have you guys see anything? We took last week off. Have you guys seen anything since our little hiatus?
I managed to see The Lodge on Sunday.
How was that?
Terrific. I was very surprised at how good it was. The sound was excellent. The acting, excellent across the board. Riley Keough from Under the Silver Lake and other films. She's terrific in it. It's one of those films where you can't give anything away at all. It would just ruin the experience. But just, you know, a woman who wants to get married to a guy decides to go out in the middle of nowhere, really, out in the snow, in a lodge with her 2 kids, and he leaves. So they try to bond. I'm not going to say anything more.
Okay. Yeah,
but it was excellent.
Yeah, I do want to see it. I know it's in limited release now, but it's supposed to go wider, I think, on Friday. This Friday.
At AMC.
Okay. Just at AMC theaters.
Not just AMC, but AMC is the only major chain that's putting it on all their screens. So they're like 80% of the screens out there.
Okay.
I'm seeing it this weekend. I'm also seeing Boot, the new Boot, Bhoot film from India. So it's gonna be a busy weekend.
Nice. I see Andrew's joined us. Andrew, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Oh, doing pretty good. Pretty good. Have you seen anything good lately? Good, bad, or indifferent lately?
Well, actually, I was pleased with how the Oscars turned out and decided that I was going to watch as many of the Best Picture nominees that I could, and so I watched Parasite. Worth the hype. Very good. Very good. Pretty funny, really, throughout the majority of it, and then when it hits hard, and it does that well. So it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. What are you drinking tonight?
This is that 0-calorie stevia leaf soda.
Ah, okay.
It's not bad, but it doesn't have any caffeine in it, so I'm hoping I might actually go to sleep tonight. You know,
it always helps to get at least a little bit of sleep at night. I've learned. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I finally saw Parasite also just a few nights ago.
What'd you think?
It's not at all what I expected, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it. So, as I read nothing about it, saw no reviews or anything. So, yeah, I bought it, and then I saw like a couple days later that it actually was playing here. So, I guess it got re-released because it won, Best Picture. So,
and you saw it on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
That's cool. I'm glad I got to see it like that.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Did you see anything else, good, bad, or indifferent lately?
I know we'll get there. I saw Fantasy Island last night.
Oh, man, I hear really good things about that.
That movie can go fuck itself.
I don't think I hated it quite as much as Lauren did.
So you don't want it to fuck itself. You want it to lightly screw itself.
Yeah, there you go. Gently. Man, god damn! It's just there's so many stupid gags in it that are nods to the show, which I'm not very familiar with, but I know like I got the references they made. Like I'm gonna go and fucking say it, dude. The guy gets at the very end of the film. The dude has a tattoo that says tattoo, and he's like, "All right, your name's tattoo."
That's the punchline of the
I
entire
don't
movie.
care if you mad at me because I spoiled that, but it's fucking.
No,
it made me
that
mad.
people way good.
That made me mad. It did.
There's a lot more than that to make you mad in the movie. There's a magic rock in the movie too. So.
Oh, just like in.
Not kidding.
It's starting to sound like it might be so bad it's good.
No. It's bad.
Okay.
It's insulting. That's the thing. That's what? It's like you've seen worse films. You'll see a worse film this year, but it's the most insulting film I've seen in a long, long, long time. It's stupid. It thinks you're dumber than it is, and it's already on the bottom of the rail. It's bad. I can't believe someone greenlit it with that being what it was, and then saw the end result and said, "This is good enough to release." It feels like something that should have gone direct to streaming as a pilot episode, and no one would have liked it there either. But that's where it would have belonged.
What is that? What kind of image is that on your guitar? Oh, it's Frankenstein. Never mind. It's the monster.
Oh,
yeah,
on the guitar.
Yeah. I couldn't tell what that was, and then I saw Frank.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty sweet.
So the Fantasy Island show, like, that was just like it wasn't a horror show, right?
No.
I don't even remember it.
It had creepy episodes here and there, but mostly it was a romantic show.
So what idiot? Are they just like, okay, we have the rights to this, so let's make a horror film out of it?
I hear Blumhouse next their next movie is going to be Love Boat, but it's a body horror movie.
Oh,
I would watch that actually.
So, but we do have good news coming out of the Blumhouse camp because Jason Blum said today that he thought the upcoming Halloween film is pretty good. Quote, it's pretty good.
Pretty
good. That's a glowing recommendation from the producer himself. So it reminded me of the video store that the Ma and Pa video store that I used to hang out in all the time, where the guy was a huge horror fan. He had the huge horror section. I was in there one time, and there was a guy who asked him about a bad movie. I don't remember what the movie was, but it was horrible. It was a horrible movie. So the guy, the owner, I saw the gears turning in his head. He wanted to rent the movie to the guy to make some money, but at the same time, he did not want to be like, oh, it's good, because it was a horrible movie. So he said this. He goes, it plays good. Basically meaning that if you put the tape in your VCR, it will play as it's intended to. And the guy took that as like a recommendation, and he rented it. He was like, oh, okay, good. But I mean, it plays good. If you put it in your VCR, it'll play. That was his, I mean,
Pinto's not a good car, but it'll turn on.
Yeah, it'll turn on. It'll explode, but it'll turn on. You know what I mean?
Only if you kick the bumper hard. You're exaggerating now.
I just thought that was so funny. I mean, I still laugh about that to this day. Like, it plays good. It plays good.
Well, Liz, did you ever rent something that doesn't play well? Because I had that experience a lot.
Oh, sure. I rented videos that didn't play very well, but I just thought, that's that was like a Jedi mind trick, and the guy totally bought it. Like, okay, I'll rent this. So if it'll play, I'll rent it. Hell.
Did you guys ever have a rental tape get eaten by your VCR?
I never had one get eaten, but I had, like, I guess, I don't know if the tape was like physically dirty, but like it would like dirty. This happened on a couple of different occasions where I would put the tape in and like it would like mess up my VCR. I don't know if it was dirty or like what the deal was. But I would have to like get it out and put in another tape and let it run, and like I don't know, it was a weird occurrence, but it happened.
Remember those head cleaners you get for your VCR?
Yeah.
Those tapes with like the soap on them.
Yeah, I remember those. Those were the I was gonna say those are the good old days, but I don't know about that. Having to clean the heads of your VCR.
Yeah.
I had one VCR in particular that would eat tapes pretty often. And I had gotten a softcore porno starring Mickey Rourke called Wild Orchid, I believe the name of it.
Wild Orchid.
And that got caught up in there. So, instead of taking it to my mom and saying, hey, Mom, this tape got, eaten by the VCR, I spliced it back together with some Scotch tape.
Ah. Really?
So, yeah.
Nice. That's very hey.
Gave it the college try, and then you could turn it back in, and how could they trace it back to you?
And like you said, it plays well.
Yeah, it plays. It'll play. Very resourceful. I like that. I had a buddy who he would rent video games, and he would peel the label off of the rental video game that he would want to keep. And he had it down to a science, too. He could get that little silver sticker off of there that if you messed with it, it would say void, And he had it down to a science where he could get that off of there, too. So he traded out all the games that he sucked, that he didn't like, for games that he did like at the video store. Eventually, he got busted for that. Yeah. But, I mean, he got a lot of games though.
God almighty.
I mean, he had it down. If you, that little silver tape that's on the side, if you even touch that thing, like, I mean, it would peel, and void would be under, like if you peeled it off, the word void would be under. I don't know. He could get that off of there without, I don't know. He had it down to a science, man, but he eventually got busted.
I used to have a sheet of those hologram stickers.
Really?
Yeah.
So you, in other words,
I wasn't bold enough to be swapping out reels, but I had one.
Okay. You didn't steal any.
I didn't.
Okay, well, good.
Well,
no Mickey Rourke films.
I love the mom and pop video stores too much for that.
Yeah.
And by the time I found a Blockbuster, who I probably would have taken advantage of, it was all DVD by then.
But you know what? Didn't you think back then, like, video stores will no longer exist in a few years? I mean, you just never, did that thought ever cross your mind? Like, wait a minute, this video store, I mean, there will always be video stores, right?
My mom ran up a bill at every video store in our town. I still have a copy of Stand By Me that she never returned to a Hollywood Video.
I rented, oh my God. This was a bad one. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of a movie? It's really low budget, crappy movies. It's like a trilogy. We used to call it the Gore trilogy: Gore Horror, Goregasm, and Gore-rotica. Well, my mom and pa video store had those, and I was getting together with my then girlfriend and some friends at her apartment, and they were like, just rent the craziest video you know of. So of course I'm like, Gore Horror, let's get Gore Horror. So I take Gore Horror over there. I think they last through about 5 minutes of it before they end it. I leave it to my then girlfriend's responsibility to take the tape back the next day. Well, guess what? About a month later, I get a letter in the mail. You owe us $30 for Gore Horror. Where is our Gore Horror? Is basically what the letter says. So I'm having to call her up and say, honey, did you forget to drop Gore Horror off at the video store? So it turned into this whole Gore Horror drama between me and my girlfriend at that time. And like it ended up costing like $30. But I mean, she could have bought the tape at that point. But I mean, it was Gore Horror. Who would want it? So I mean, she finally got the thing back there, and she paid the bill. They literally sent me a letter, like, "Hey, man." I mean, I was in that video store all the time, but they sent me a letter like to make it official. Like, dude, we want our Gore Horror tape back. Yeah.
Those horrors get in the way of all those relationships.
I know. Damn horrors. Yeah. My goodness.
So, Piz, I'm on eBay right now, and Goretica is now going for about $100.
Whoa.
But Gore Horror is not as expensive because it actually made it to DVD. You can find copies for like $8 of that. But it looks like the rest of the series didn't make the transfer over to digital.
Wow.
Goretica did as well.
Well, I know Gore Horror made the jump to DVD because I actually own that DVD. I don't know why, but I was like, okay, so this thing actually made it to DVD. I've got to buy it. So I bought it.
I think we might be learning more than we want to about you.
Well, it's one of those deep dive rentals that I don't know. Yeah. Anywho. What were we even talking about here? I've completely lost track. Has anybody else seen any good, bad, or indifferent movies here lately that you want to share with the group?
I saw Sonic.
Oh, how was that?
I mean, my kid loved it. And actually, it wasn't terrible for a kid's movie. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was one of those, like, it's a quick hit, hour and 40 minutes, and it was all the schlocky, syrupy, stuff you'd expect from that type of movie. But we've seen some really bad video game adaptations, and I can just say confidently this is not one of them. It is competent, for sure, considering the source material. I mean, where do you build a plot out of that? And Jim Carrey was just being slapstick Jim Carrey again, which he hasn't been for a while, so it kind of was fresh enough to be cool. I think they have something they can do more with moving forward now because, he kind of becomes full-on Dr. Robotnik, but yeah, my kid loved it, so I'm all for it.
It's tearing up the box office. I mean, it's doing very, very well. So I mean, hey, anybody else? I saw 2 movies on Blu-ray recently that I'd never seen before. Berserker, which I did a review of, which I actually liked. And I watched Unmasked Part 25 yesterday. And my review of that will be out tomorrow. But I enjoyed that too. So,
very fun.
Yeah, I've been on a roll with some Blu-rays here lately. I also finally watched Killing Spree. Everybody's been trying to urge me to watch Killing Spree. I finally watched Killing Spree. It was very entertaining too. So, Before we dive into the topic at hand here, let's see who else what's going on out in the chat. Joe Bob Tarhill says that he hoards VCRs. Nice.
He hoards them.
we have brought up a lot of people sharing video store memories in the chat. Jess Graham says that he used to work at a mom and pop video store back in the late 90s. Very cool. Baldy Jack, how you doing, buddy? Hope you're doing well. I saw our buddy Chris out in the chat earlier. Crystal Lake Counselor 1977. Let's see. Dave Vanderhoff's in the chat. How you doing, Dave? Manny Gatillo. What's up, Manny? There's Chris. Chris wants to know if you will be purchasing the 40th anniversary Friday the 13th Blu-ray, Lorne. I think it's actually a metal pack release.
Yeah, I answered no is the answer because I don't buy things just for new packaging. If they want to actually, give me some reason as far as the quality of the picture or the sound, I'm all up for it. But they need to actually do something to the product itself, not just put it in another box.
But Lorne, it's only $15. It's a metal pack.
But I could buy a movie I don't own for that $15.
But will it be in a metal pack?
I really don't care. Okay. I can't put the metal pack into the DVD player and make it play better.
Let me tell you, I'm so sick of this DVD, Blu-ray talk. I want to see, what I would love is if inside that Friday the 13th metal pack was a sheet of paper with like a digital code on it. That's what I want. You know what I mean? Screw this physical crap.
Let's talk about that.
So let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, so this was Karate Popcorn, longtime friend of the show, posted a picture of it was Hobbs and Shaw, I think the film was, and it's just like a little tin case with, I guess, just a piece of paper with a voodoo code on it. It's like a mini DVD, right, or mini Blu-ray.
It was like a small steelbook, but inside the steelbook was like a sheet of paper with the voodoo code on it.
Why?
Yeah,
what's the purpose?
I don't know. You got an empty steelbook, and I mean, I don't know. Was there a price tag on the thing, or did he say how much it cost? Okay.
Well, it's Hobbs and Shaw, so it basically costs 2 hours of your life and a little bit of your dignity.
They still have them on the shelves at my Walmart. I've been seeing them for weeks now. The damnedest thing is somebody sat around a table and said, let's put the digital code in a steelbook and sell it.
Well, maybe they're thinking like, well, there's these idiots out there who still collect physical. Let's give them, let's put the digital code inside a case and then sell it to them that way so that they'll think, I mean, what's the psychology behind that meeting?
They're taking advantage of stupid people, I think.
What are you going to do with an empty steelbook? A small empty steelbook. It's not even. I mean, I don't get it.
You can put your weed in there.
Yeah, put your weed in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What?
Put your sativa in there.
You could put your weed in here, man.
I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Put some hard candies, maybe some change.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I just don't know what the answer is. That's crazy to me.
And they're doing this stuff in games too, where they give you an empty case just to satisfy the collector mentality, and then have a download code inside it. I don't understand. I mean, you can't even say it's like, well, it's for people who don't have internet access. No, it's not, because you have to have the internet to stream the movie. Right. So why aren't you just going to Vudu and just streaming it right from there and not having to go out and pick up a credit card case, basically?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that they just don't understand the collector market. They look and they see people still collecting VHS tapes and Laserdisc and CED, and they assume that they're not actually playing these titles, which in some cases is absolutely the case. But So I think they think that it's just a physical object to own on a shelf is what people want. Now, a title like Hobbs and Shaw, this is just not going to work for anyway, because you can actually buy a physical product currently, but is what people want. You know what? Somewhere out there, there's someone who thinks this is awesome because they want the convenience, but they also want to have that art. There's someone out there. I mean, in a serious sense, though, too, if we own 7 copies of the same movie with different art on them, are we really all that different? You're only going to watch one at a time.
No, but I can display them proudly.
You can display that steelbook.
Oh, you're
Why not like a mini poster or something that you can actually use?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
Listen, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that it's not all that different, really.
That's what I was thinking today. I was like, it's the 40th anniversary, and basically, because it's the exact same disc that's been in the other Blu-ray releases of the film. So, I mean, it's the 40, at the very least. I mean, a poster. Or I mean, there's a million, a hockey mask, or I don't know. There's a million different things that they could do, but they're just like, just put it in a metal pack. And if we make it cheap enough, everybody will buy it. And I've got one pre-ordered, so I'm a sucker, I guess. But
What stores are getting that?
I don't know. I saw the listing on Amazon.
Okay.
There's the simple answer what they could have done for this anniversary, which is that they could have released the television cut as a bonus feature, and then at least it would have the value of having the version that a lot of us grew up watching.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't take much to come up with a way to make this work, but this was a cash grab. If you don't already own it, it's probably a wonderful looking addition. The transfer is a good transfer. It's just the same one we all bought years and years ago. At this point, I'm not buying the original Friday 13th again unless it goes UHD, which, there's not many titles that I upgrade just automatically. That's one of them, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen at this point, so I'm probably done ever buying it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this is not a 4K upgrade or anything like that.
I have heard that 84 Entertainment in Germany is trying to do. They're planning to do a 4K UHD releases for all the Friday movies. So that would be cool, but of course, you're importing those things, and that gets pricey. But they'd be 4K UHD, and 4K is all regions. So I mean,
yeah.
Piz, would you have to buy them all? Would you need them all? Or would you select titles?
Gosh, well, because you're paying a lot extra for them, I would have to be selective. I think.
Yeah,
I would definitely want like 1, 4, 5. I bet 6 would look good in 4K. 8 would probably look good in 4K. 7 would not. I think if 7 in 4K would just make it look even worse. Honestly. Yeah. So I don't know. I would be selective about that. Let's see. There was a question about the James Rolfe Blu-ray video, which we kind of talked about that on my last Patreon or patron stream. But does anybody want to give their take on that? I think the consensus from us on my stream was that it was just a bad take from Rolfe, and that it's either like a work, or it was he just needed to get a video out there. You know what I mean? I think it was just I couldn't even watch all the video. I was just cringing left and right. But I thought it was just a really bad take from him.
I have the same remote, and I still use my PlayStation 3 to run Blu-rays off my TV too. And I don't know if he just didn't spend much time thinking about what he was talking about when it came to, like finding his place that he left off on a Blu-ray disc, and, what buttons to push on that remote and things like that, and it being confusing. I just don't know. Like you said, I don't know if he just didn't prepare well for the video or didn't care, just needed to get some content out there, which seems strange because, it's not like he is reeling for content. And most of the time, I absolutely agree with his takes on things. But yeah, the only thing I agree with him on was the fact that they talked about the battle between like HD DVD and Blu-ray, and how Blu-ray really is kind of a stupid thing to say because it really is a high definition digital video disc. So it should just be like HD DVD. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing I agree with. But that was due to branding and kind of that Sony ownership of the format. But that's really it. The rest of it was kind of head scratching.
Yeah.
And I mean the PS3 is like 15 years old. I mean that's
Yeah.
a super old system.
Wow.
So,
It's been out since 08.
Yeah, I mean, you're watching a Blu-ray on a system that's not really a Blu-ray player, and it's 15 years old. So I mean, Rolf, maybe I don't think he's hurting for money. Buy a new Blu-ray player, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Piz, I found something else pretty dumbfounding. He said in that video, he actually made mention that he's like, streaming is so convenient for me that when my kids or somebody would want to watch a movie, I'll just rent it on Amazon for $3.99 for whatever it is, then come down here, meaning the room he was in at the time in that video, and search it out and have to go through the hassle of finding it. Well, when I finished that video, it automatically played one of his other videos after that, and it was actually like a tour of that room. And in that tour, he talked about how much of a pain in the butt it was to not only alphabetize the movies, but to separate them by genre. So what's the trouble if you already have everything alphabetized and separated? I think he's an idiot.
Yeah.
I think it's gotta be a joke, man. This video was a joke.
I was gonna say there's no way he's not got his stuff alphabetized. At the very least, it's alphabetized.
So what's the problem? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean you have to go down there and go through the trouble of searching for it? If it's alphabetized and in genre, dude, anybody competent with a mind can get in there in 20 seconds and find whatever you're looking for. I mean,
Yeah.
God almighty.
Yeah.
So that was stupid. I really thought that really scratched my head so hard on that. I'm damn near got my brain exposed,
Yeah. Jeremy knows my collection better than I do. I'll ask him. When I was wanting to go back and rewatch My Bloody Valentine 3D, I just looked around. I couldn't find it. I said, Jeremy, find My Bloody Valentine 3D for me. He just got down there and he went, heal. So he literally like that. He got it. And I was sitting there looking. I couldn't find it at all. He found it in like a minute. So he knows it better than I do.
I still don't think the PlayStation 3 is a terrible player. I mean, it's not got the bells and whistles of the newer ones. So you just kind of have to know its quirks a little bit. So, I mean, even with that said, if you've been using that player for that long, I don't understand why he's having issues with it. I really don't.
I don't know.
It has to be a troll video. Like literally every point he made during the entire video had some fatal flaw to it. I'm just shocked that he hasn't acknowledged that what he was doing in that video because it can't be serious.
I mean, he's a smart guy, man. I really don't see him saying a lot of that stuff and actually believing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You would think it's a time. Enough time has passed that he'd come out and go, "Ha, that was a troll." But I don't know. We're still talking about it, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe other people are too, and he's getting some.
I guess controversy equals views, right?
Controversy creates cash and views. There you go. Let's see. Captain Halloween asked, anybody know why the original Dawn of the Dead is seemingly hard to come by? I see copies going for $150 on eBay. The Anchor Bay lost. Anchor Bay can't release it anymore in the U.S. Nobody has the rights to release it in the U.S., I don't believe. That's why Second Sight is putting out a release of it. Eventually, 4K, that and Martin. So that's why that Blu-ray for Dawn of the Dead is so expensive. It's region locked. No, none of the 4K, nothing 4K is region locked. Nothing 4K is region locked. Then I saw somebody say something about customs fees. I've never had, when I've had to buy one of those 84 Entertainment discs from like Amazon, I think it's Amazon.de. I've never had to pay customs fees or anything like that.
Buy it from the Italian Amazon. There's never fees, ever.
And he is right. Diabolic DVD gets a lot of them in too. But I mean, honestly, I think the price is not that much different. If you order them directly from, Amazon.de or Diabolic DVD. You get them quicker through Diabolic DVD, but that's about it. Steak Sauce is in the chat. Hello, Steak Sauce. What's up? Our buddy Chris said, I can't find his comment, but he said that there's a 40th anniversary Friday the 13th shirt available with... Did anyone pre-order the Friday the 13th 40th anniversary exclusive shirt? I wasn't aware there was one. So I did not.
Piz, did you see what Blue Underground announced today?
Zombie 4K UHD, yep.
Are you gonna get that? Are you gonna hold off? Or I mean, I just got that 3-disc set, man. I just got it.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ. If it's a budget buy, I could probably go for it, man. But I got a bad feeling.
It won't be a budget buy. But what I did when Synapse released the Suspiria disc, and then like a couple of years later they released the 4K, I sold the Blu-ray. And made a few bucks off the Blu-ray that I
cool.
then sank into the 4K. So you could probably sell the 3-disc Blu-ray unless you just really like it, and buy the 4K UHD.
See, I wish they would actually put the digital code in that 4K disc as well, because I go on Facebook. My buddy Andrew hooked me up with this site. I sell my digital codes for new movies for like $7 or $8. So I'll buy 4K and spend less money on it than buying a Blu-ray if I didn't sell the Blu-ray code. So if they did that, I'd be like, okay, cool. At least I could sell the digital code for it.
Dude, man, holler at me next time you get some new stuff.
I got you, bro.
I'll make an offer.
Well, and
I buy a lot of shitty movies though, Jay. So
I love shitty movies.
but I tell you what. Zombie first. New York Ripper will be next on 4K. Let's see, what else did they? Maniac. I'm sure Maniac's going to be 4K real soon too.
Yeah.
Is it not already? Okay.
No.
But I mean, those scans are 4K, right?
They're 4K scans, but they're not dedicated for 4K UHD releases.
Okay.
So.
And I feel like Maniac needs to be watched on like a gritty VHS or some shit.
Yeah. I need like the 16 millimeter film it was shot on. You know what I mean? Yeah. With like the cigarette burns and the.
That's one I have to take a shower after I watch. Like Cruising or something.
Dude, Cruising was more brutal for me than Maniac. God almighty. I watched that with my wife, and my wife said, he was like, Christian, who told you to watch this, Christian? I was like, well, everybody was buying it. She's like, so you got to buy it too? Damn it. This is disgusting.
I'm surprised you didn't go, well, Pizzle made me watch it.
Oh, well, your name gets brought up a lot. It was real funny. I'll say this real quick. Piz, your video where you sent us of you drinking the energy drink. I was like, Sydney, Piz got a video of him trying the Coke. Go watch that video again, Piz. You take a sip and you look disgusted. and then you go, pretty good.
that's my I'm letting the taste sink in, Faith.
My wife gets a kick out of that kind of stuff.
Jack Whitaker asked, do I sell stuff on eBay? Sometimes I'll sell hockey masks on eBay. Oh my god, what's happening with UPS with shipping USPS these days? I took a mask to the post office the other day to ship it. And the guy I was like, he goes, well, we can get it there in 2 days for $50, which, I mean, who's going to, why do they even offer you that? That's stupid. And I was like, yeah, it's all right. I was like, what's next on the list? He goes, we can get it there in 3 days for $14. I thought he was joking me. I looked, I said, what? He goes, yeah, shipping costs have gone up. And I was like, holy crap, $14 to ship a mask in the U.S.? Good God.
You may as well drive it there yourself, dude.
I know.
And fuel costs are down, so they can't lay on that.
I was like, what is going on? That was the first mask I'd sold since the holidays. I shipped one up to I shipped 2 masks up to Canada, and I mean, it was like 20-something bucks. Now how much is it? $50? I mean, geez, God. I thought he was joking. He's like, yeah, $14. God. Craziness. Let's see. Let's go ahead and dive into the topic at hand here, which is fan service. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it a service to fans, or is it a disservice to fans? And I think it's very it was very fortuitous that Andrew brought up the Sonic movie, because I think the Sonic movie is an example of good fan service, or at least of fan service that has paid off. Because if you guys remember, when the trailer for Sonic first dropped, people freaked out because Sonic didn't look like Sonic. So the filmmakers went back. They pushed the release of the movie back. They dropped a bunch of money into the film, and they made Sonic look like the Sonic that we all know and love. And guess what? It's now money. A huge hit. That's fan service. I think that's not only fan service done right, that is listening to your fans. Now, if you had said something about, if you had said, if you had said this, if you had the same complaint about a different movie, you'd be called toxic. You'd be called, the fanboy who wants too much, or whatever. In the case of the Sonic film, what the fans wanted, they got. So I mean, that was good. That was good fan service, I think. There's
I
put your tinfoil hat on, though. I mean, I shot a video that it's probably 2 or 3 weeks down the road because I'm trying to space them out. But I did shoot a video about this, and I just wonder, though, and I know that there's a lot involved in this, but in the original trailer for Sonic, they showed the terrible character design to Coolio's Gangster's Paradise, and he's only animated in a couple of scenes, and so. What I expressed is something I had already read on the internet, but it really was reinforced to me when I saw this movie, because everything else is like from the video game. Even the end credits are a literal representation of, if you've played Sonic Mania, the most recent one that looks like the old ones, but has really bright, vibrant color. It looks just like that. It's hard for me to look at this movie now and go, you're telling me that everything in this movie is dead on the video game as far as its aesthetic, except for the title character. The titular character was botched all to hell. I truly believe that somewhere along the lines in here that they did this knowing that buzz was going to be whipped up and that people were going to, quote, demand the change, and they were going to sit in the seats to see, did they do what we said? Because once the new trailer came out, everybody's like, oh yeah, that looks like Sonic the Hedgehog. There's no artist out there to look at Sonic the Hedgehog and thought, that really small guy in a tracksuit that looks like he bought it from Walmart, that's the look we're going for. Nobody. I just don't believe that for a second. And everybody's like, no, this wasn't a conspiracy. They had to go back in and spend millions of dollars to redo this. I think they had a movie made. I think they went back and reanimated a terrible Sonic for a terrible trailer to hack off the people my age that remember Sonic a certain way. Is that completely tinfoil hat of me to think?
Can
I spoil one thing for you?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past a bunch of sly, money-hungry studio execs to be like, hey,
I mean, I don't know the first thing about animation and how much money and time it costs. I know it's got to be expensive. I get that. Like, everybody's like, CG sucks. Well, in a lot of cases, CG does suck when practical could be used, but it doesn't mean CG is always cheap. Maybe it's cheaper in some places, but it's not cheap. I do understand that much. But is anybody here in this audience, do you think, going to be upset if I spoil a big thing from Sonic the Hedgehog?
Doubtful.
Okay. Tails shows up in the end.
Huh.
And there's other characters from Sonic involved in this. They had to redesign them too, right? Because if Sonic looked like crap, Tails had to have looked like crap. And all these echidnas had to look like crap at one point. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Because you didn't see any of those in the trailer. You just saw scenes shot already with bad Sonic in it. And then all of a sudden we had this good-looking Sonic in it.
So I think there's a possibility here that there might be a middle ground to the truth. Paramount has been in pretty rough waters financially for the last few years. They needed to hit real bad. They're very lucky to have this movie. But because they have been in rough waters, they don't really have a real solid relationship with any of the major effects houses at this point. Unlike someone like, the Weta relationship that's with Universal, for instance. That doesn't exist for Paramount. So when you're in that kind of position, what you usually end up doing is piecemealing out specific parts of the film or certain characters. So they probably modeled Sonic at one studio, and other elements were probably created by a different effects house. So it's probably a work that came together in the editing. So it's possible that one aspect was wrong and they fixed it. But I think you're closer to right than wrong, because there's no way there was only one design for this character. They had to have rendered several and then decided what to go with. So did they pull a switch and say, let's see what the reaction to this is, and if not, we'll go to the safe one? That seems likely to me.
Yeah, because I mean, they were so thoughtful to details too. I mean, details that a team that created that look for Sonic would not have been able to discern the type of detail that was in it that only people that played Sonic 1 and 2 on the Genesis would have picked up on, because kids wouldn't have cared. They wouldn't have cared about, certain little this, certain little that, whether you call Robotnik Eggman or Dr. Robotnik, why they're calling him Eggman, all that stuff in there. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I just, that was one of those things I walked away, and they even had kind of like how Marvel and DC have like their opening little comic pages flipping, and then it zooms out to show the Marvel logo or whatever. Mm-hmm. They have one for Sega now. And it's just so like perfect to anybody who played on the Genesis or Mega Drive would have remembered. It's hard to believe that the main attraction would have been that screwed up.
Yeah. Huh?
I would say that sounds ridiculous, but really, after you explain it, controversy creates cash, man. It makes sense to me. That's an
it's a big gamble. It's a big gamble, absolutely. I mean, you're definitely betting the house that people are going to get outraged. I mean, I know the internet, it's not hard to gamble that outrage will happen, but you're having to bet and hope to God that your hunch on this outrage is right, because otherwise, it's all for nothing.
Yeah.
So I think there's a danger with this as a precedent, though. And I've expressed this before, so I'm sorry, guys, for having to hear me say it again. But the tyranny of fans is a really dangerous thing. I don't want to see a point whereas every film after a trailer comes out gets retooled based on reaction from the internet. Now, in something like this, it helped the film, no question about it. But I could see outrage from a specific group or a specific lobby fundamentally changing films for the worse. So I think we have to be careful here to not too heavily support what went on with Sonic as a broad thing. As much as it might be tempting to say, when I saw the trailer to Black Christmas or I saw the trailer for Charlie's Angels, I wish they'd made this film instead. Eventually, something that you like is going to fall under the scrutiny of the internet, and they're going to change away from what you liked. And I think that's probably more dangerous than anything that we're getting from Hollywood right now, because I don't know about you, I don't want everything to be this artless, just consumer-driven product that is lowest common denominator, because the internet is the lowest common denominator. I'd rather big chances be made even if people fall on their face. So that's the other side of this, and that's, I think, the danger.
I agree. I think Jim Carrey even said something to the effect of this movie too, that it was a dangerous situation where, if we let this slide this time, how many more times does it slide before it becomes just the thing that happens now, that they put out a tester out there and wait for somebody to come in and, gripe about it.
I think it depends on the project. I mean, you can't make a Sonic the Hedgehog. It's like okay, so let's say when they make the next Friday the 13th movie, instead of Jason wearing a hockey mask, he's wearing a Dollar General store bag on his head.
Yeah.
Is that gonna, are we gonna complain about that? Absolutely. Are we gonna be called trolls and Probably. Or they might go, oh, you guys are right. Let's put that damn hockey mask back on him. I think it depends on what the property is. You can't just take a beloved property like Sonic and then just kind of be like, let's just make him look like crap. Again, instead of Freddy Krueger, he didn't burn this time. He was electrocuted. He froze, yeah, or he was electrocuted. So let's just change that, just to change it. You're going to set people off. You're going to piss people off. So I think it depends on what it is exactly.
It's pretty.
But
I'm done.
I will tell you right now. That's exactly what Nightmare on Elm Street needs. They need the fans to let go of the 1980s and what Robert Englund built. If it's going to have any future, someone's going to have to make a big imaginative step forward that says, screw the past.
But I don't know how, in that case, then just do something entirely new. If you're gonna,
that's always my first choice, but we're not getting that.
Yeah, if you're gonna tinker with the nucleus of the thing, just make something new. Don't say, this is the new Nightmare on Elm Street, but Freddy is, not Freddy anymore. Then it's not if it's not Freddy, it's not Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy is Freddy. I don't know. I see what you're saying. Taking chances is always a great thing, but I don't know. There's just when you take chances, you end up where we were with Friday the 13th there for 5 years, where they're going, should we put a camera in his eye? That'd be different. Oh no, let's explore the relationship between him and his mother. Nobody wants to see that.
But on the other hand, Piz, you also could end up in a situation where I say, hey, let's put a paramedic in Jason's mask, but make blue chevrons.
Well, but see, you only catch lightning in a bottle like that once every.
I knew I'd get the reaction, but I wasn't. But I'm being serious. Like, a lot of people really appreciate Friday 5 now. It wasn't always that way. For taking the big chance. A lot of people. I'm going to kill my own idols here for a second, because a lot of people liked when Alien went to Aliens and became an action film. I detest it, but you know what? It brings joy to a lot of people. But that was a pretty big... I mean, they didn't change the plot. They just changed the approach. A lot of people appreciated the chance being taken. I worry that if the average Joe sitting at home watching YouTube videos gets control of the Hollywood system, we end up with no chances ever being taken. And I think that I'm willing to let some franchises take some pretty poor moves if the integrity stays in place. Because frankly, these long-running franchises, it's not like bad moves haven't been made and bad choices haven't been made. I would rather them make bad choices and every once in a while hit a home run with some big chance than just to see more and more and more of exactly the same. I have no desire to see let's put it this way. I have no desire to see a Nightmare on Elm Street that does what Halloween did 2 years ago. Zero. If you don't have something new to say, why are we doing it besides money?
Well, money. I mean, that's the only reason why they do anything in Hollywood is because of money, right? What else is there?
It's a commercial art. Well, it's a commercial art. That doesn't mean you can't push forward.
If it was Nightmare on Elm Street released by A24, yeah, but Nightmare on Elm Street released by New Line and Warner Brothers, yeah. I
agree with you, but A24 is taking those chances, right? It could be done. You can make money, but if they make enough money, if they start outselling Blum, you're going to see the industry change in a real positive direction. But we got to get out there. I mean, when St. Maud comes out, all of us need to go. Now, I know that comes back to the question of, do you want to support everything that comes out? But in my opinion, what A24 has done for us over the last 8 years, we need to pay forward at this point if we want more companies to act like them. Mm-hmm. Movie Man 95, that was not an excuse to attack Alien 3. Just stop.
Well, let's let some other people chime in here. Stingray, what's your thoughts on the idea of fan service, and how much power should fans have over the creative direction of the movie biz.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's kind of unique about the time we're living in, because it's almost like people have more power than they should, right?
Everybody's got a platform to speak their mind.
Exactly. I don't know, man. It's good and bad sometimes. I mean, sometimes it works out well. I would say most of the time it's not good.
What can you think of as an example of some bad fan service that we've had recently?
Yeah, I mean, the chat's been naming them one after another, like Star Wars films. I think a lot of those, like once you got past a couple of the films, I mean, really, like, it's an AT-AT, you know?
Yeah.
You can't just go crazy every time you see this stuff. I mean, and like Ghostbusters, the remake. I mean, even the new Ghostbusters coming out, it's going to be full of fan service, you know? I don't know. I'm trying to think. There's plenty of examples. I just can't think of another good one right now. But you know, all the horror remakes. I don't know. It's just like you said. Everybody has a voice, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Like you know, when they recut Suicide Squad to be more like Deadpool, you know, adding the comedy elements and stuff, like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's just a problem with the studio there. But
yeah. The Star Wars movies are a good example of, I think, bad fan service when the fan service is sort of intended to. I don't know. I'm still just perplexed by the new Star Wars movies, because it's like they want you to forget about the old Star Wars movies. They want you to kill the past, but at the same time they're forcing the past down your throat at every turn. So I mean, it's like, how can I forget the past when, well, there's Han, well, there's Leia, there's an AT-AT, there's the Millennium Falcon, there's Chewie everywhere. You know what I mean? There's Billy D. Williams, Lando, you know what I mean? You keep showing me things from the past while you're trying to say kill the past, you know.
And like the new Terminator films, the past two Terminator films.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Like, look, here's Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the same scene. You remember those guys?
You know, there was an interview with Harrison Ford recently, and they asked him, what did they ask? They asked him some kind of, it wasn't even really an obscure question about Star Wars, and he was like, do you know what? I don't even remember what it was. What? Oh, a Force Ghost. Do you know what a Force Ghost is? And he goes, I don't know what a Force Ghost is, and I don't give an F what a Force Ghost is. That was Harrison Ford. And even like Linda Hamilton's come out now, and like she's like, I don't want to do another Terminator. I don't ever want to go back to that again.
I don't want her to do another Terminator either.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah. Me neither. I don't.
Awful in the last one.
I don't think we ever need another Terminator.
I like the world. I think there's plenty of things to do. The same I feel with Star Wars and with Aliens and Predator. I feel like there's good stories there. I mean, it's out there. I mean, there's comics and books and crap out there that's good. You know, it's just get away from these characters that you're so attached to. They're old. They're, you know, leave them alone. Let's move on.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I don't know. I think they knew in a way that they didn't have a lot of faith in the new material with Star Wars, so they just kept rehashing and, you know, reintroducing the old, you know, back into it. So I don't know. I'll watch The Last Jedi eventually, or Rise of Skywalker. I keep calling Rise of Skywalker The Last Jedi. I'll watch it eventually, but I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it, really. But anybody, Stone, what's your thoughts on fan service? Is it good? Is it bad?
Well, it's funny. I mean, Star Wars is the worst kind of franchise when it comes to fan service. I mean, I haven't bothered with Rise of Skywalker yet either. I may not decide to do it. I mean, yeah, I know Chewbacca gets his medal that he didn't get in 77. Who gives a shit? I mean, It depends on the franchise. It depends on the fan base. I remember you posed the question, Piz, about awful theatrical experiences. And I remember when I went to go see Hunger Games Catching Fire. It was a midnight screening. I didn't pay to see it. I went to this midnight screening, and let's put it this way. I was not prepared for the number of fans that was in that screening, because what they would do is, I don't remember what the little hand symbol was, but they would like do that like every 10, 15 minutes and raise their friggin' arms, blocking the screen. And there were people that wouldn't shut up, and they would say the movie quotes before they actually say it, because they actually read the books a zillion times. That was a mistake. It killed any interest I had in the Hunger Games. I never even bothered with the other ones. So I mean, it really all depends on the franchise. I mean, there's a lot of franchises out there. There's a lot of series out there where, you know, the fan service is masturbatory and obnoxious, and other times it can be subtle. Perfect example, look at the James Bond films Die Another Day versus Skyfall. You know, Skyfall celebrated the 50th anniversary, and there was a lot of subtle hints in there for fans, but it wasn't shoving everything in your face like Die Another Day was. You know, that's just one example. I mean, it really depends on the franchise. But here again, Star Wars, that takes the cake. I mean, they call themselves the fandom menace. Okay, I've long since given up on Star Wars. I mean, I've said this before. In closing, I'll say it again. Unless Disney re-releases the original Star Wars film from 1977 as it was in 77 for its 50th anniversary in 2027, which I doubt they will, but if they do that, I'll actually go to the theater. Otherwise, I've long since done with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. I think we need to get those releases on, you know, the untampered with versions back on, you know, a nice Blu-ray release of those.
That would be nice.
Yes. Surprised Disney hasn't done that yet, to be honest.
Well, isn't the story that Lucas would have to pay his ex-wife?
Oh my God! So
is that the story? Is that true?
I don't know. That's a good question. That might be why. Lauren's shaking his head. Is that not the story, Lauren? Okay.
There was a documentary on that called "The People versus George Lucas," and I don't remember him saying anything about that. I don't know. I'm not saying Stones, you're wrong or anything. I'm just saying I never heard anything about that in that documentary. It was basically because George just wants to. It's like he doesn't like those original cuts. He wants them to make them for kids. He's very adamant. Star Wars is for kids, so all us old people grow up. The movies don't grow up with us. That's basically what his mindset is.
See, that's kind of like Axl Rose re-recording Appetite for Destruction with all new band, just to cut out all the old guys from royalties. You know, George Lucas to get out of having to pay his wife alimony, he retooled the movies. Just threw a bunch of CGI in there to get out of having to pay her money. Oh my God!
I think it's
if Disney wants to win back fans, that's the way to do it. Look, I'm sorry, I haven't seen The Mandalorian yet, but I'm sick and tired of looking at Baby Yoda, so I probably won't watch it ever. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lauren.
So the Star Wars thing goes back as a long ways. People don't seem to remember, but when Return of the Jedi was coming out, they re-released the original film, and even then there was changes.
Yes.
So it goes back all the way to the George Lucas has always seen the original Star Wars as a work in progress because he made a film, he gave it to the studio, they laughed at him and thought that he had wasted their money. His wife's cut, as long as a lot of redrafting and a lot of reworking, eventually got the film to where it was, and it was obviously a huge hit. But he's always, I think, felt that he didn't have the tools he needed to make the film he wanted to make. So he's been chasing it for almost 50 years now. And it's not going to ever end until he has absolutely no way to sneak into an editing room and tinker. But it's not new. This is who the man has always been. This is what he's always done. This is kind of the question that you're asking today, though, Pez. Like, who owns these properties? Because you can't, by definition, you really can't have fan service towards a property that doesn't have fans existing. So it's never the first project, right? Mm-hmm. So who do these things belong to? Is it the creators? Is it the studios that made them? Is it the distribution companies? Is it the fans? It's nice to say, oh, I think the fans should own it because they're the ones who've stood by it and made it successful. But that's kind of naive too. It's kind of a partnership with everyone, because the fans didn't make the films. The fans didn't write or direct or hire the right people. Everyone that has played a point in creating these things should have some hand, or at least some financial stake in it. But that obviously leads to where we are, right? When the fans feel like they have more ownership than the people who create, release, or make the films, then you start to get this impulse towards making those fans happy. And that can be stifling, or it could lead to really satisfying films. But my question is, take a franchise you love. If they were to make a direct sequel to Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, that ignored all the sequels, which you can do because they don't have anything to do with, really, would you just want them to make Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 again?
If they brought Eric Freeman back, yes.
Okay, no. Okay, so no, that's the answer I wanted. So would you want them to do it 5 more times, though? Just fresh coat of paint, nothing changed.
If Eric Freeman portrayed the character differently all 5 times, yes.
No changes.
But see, well, sure, because I mean that's the more Eric Freeman, the better.
You might as well title the movie Silent Night, Deadly Night, Garbage Day. you might as well.
That's the thing. If they were to make another one, would they be forced to put the line in? And at what point does that get old?
Probably. See, that would be the fan service, though. Is that line would be in there somewhere?
Exactly.
That would be the fan service. But if they put it in an intelligent, way, instead of just throwing it in there for the sake of having it in there, then
sure, once
that would be great.
In Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4 of the new franchise, hypothetically, when they find an intelligent way to sneak it in again, you start to roll your eyes? I think you do. I think there's a danger in all fan service, and I'm not against fan service entirely, but I think there's a danger in it, because you stop making films for the right reasons, and you start making them for the reaction from the audience in a direct way. You're not serving the story or the characters. You're serving the customer.
Well, isn't that the original definition of fan service? Just what you said there.
It is.
Kind of a.
Who wants to hear Bruce Willis say "Yippee-ki-yay, MF" one more time?
I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh, old habits die hard, man. Disney needs to call the movie "Old Habits Die Hard." It's meant to be.
It should be the next one.
It's meant to be.
That should be the next one.
I was going to say the line thing. It made me think of the RoboCop remake where they screwed around with the what is it, the I'd buy that for $1 line, and he said it in a more casual way, like it had nothing to do with that TV commercial. He just randomly said it. Like, come on, you're making me groan with this shit.
See, I've not even seen that remake. I totally avoided it.
It's not terrible, but it's
the screen is apparently frozen on me. Can we do something about that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we can do something about that. I don't know why it goes automatically right back to you when I take it off that thing. That's weird. Let's put it on Gibb's beautiful face. There we go. We'll just lock Gib in for the rest of There we go.
I've always said I'm the eye candy.
The views just went up. What happened? The views just went up instantly. My
What'd
God.
you expect?
Well, geez.
Damn.
Here's the star of the
You're
show,
welcome.
right? Here's the star
You're
of the show,
welcome,
right here.
guys. Yeah. I hope I haven't been dominating the conversation thus far.
What about the ultimate fan service, Ready Player One?
Oh God, I didn't even bother with that. Reference Player One, no thank you. No,
That was
thank you.
pretty. Yeah, that was pretty.
So it's like, I know that thing, I know what that is, I know that. You know,
So-
that's what the entire movie was.
Some of it was kind of fun. Well, when they went
Yeah,
to
I liked
the
it.
Overlook Hotel, I have to admit, I really enjoyed when it just popped up in the Shining Hotel. I liked that.
Yeah, seeing, Chucky,
Yeah.
with a knife and, Mega Godzilla crushing things and, yeah.
Anybody else want to put in their 2 cents on fan service?
I think chasing coattails is a problem. I mean, that's something like I think it was mentioned. I don't know who said it earlier, but there was a mention about something popular comes out, and then a movie that has no business chasing that coattail chases it because it was popular, so they think they're going to get some sales off of it. I think they think that's going to be fan service, but it ends up not serving anybody because it just looks like I think it was it the Suicide Squad or Justice League or whatever. Somebody mentioned it earlier. But there's a subtle wink and a nudge sometimes, and I think that if it's aimed at older fans, that's fine. But so many things now are just overtly trying to, like you said about Ready Player One. I mean, Ready Player One, at least you knew the source material was kind of that way to begin with. Not exact. I mean, the book and the movie are very different from each other, but so many movies that are not Ready Player One are literally highlight sizzle reels of, that, don't you? You know that, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember Pepsi, Crystal Pepsi? Here's Crystal,
Crystal
Pepsi.
Pepsi.
I'm having it's crazy. But really quickly, back on the Nightmare on Elm Street thing. I don't think there's a better character out there than Freddy Krueger to be able to riff off of and do different things with. I really don't. But there's such an iconic draw to how he was played by Robert that I don't think we would be able to let go of that. But if you think about the burned up Nightmare Man and all the things he could do to kids and teenagers in different ways and not have like a set type for himself. I mean, the possibilities are limitless. Yeah, it could be something else, but Freddy's a known name. But would we be willing to let Freddy be something other than the Freddy that we know? I don't know. I mean, but that's a character that's limitless. There's only so much you can do with Michael Myers or Jason. But the man that comes to you in your nightmares can literally be anywhere and do anything.
I mean, it's true.
Well, have you seen Jason Goes to Hell? He does a lot of great. I'm kidding.
No, you're right though.
A lot is possible when you get that damn hockey mask out of the movie.
Actually, real quick on Friday the 13th, because I just bought this Steelbook fairly recently. It actually came out last summer. Very nice Steelbook of the 2009 movie. Did that have a lot of fan service to you guys? Because I mean, I know they cherry picked like story beats from like the first 4 films, but when I rewatched it, I was like, there's not a whole lot of fan service here.
I think the I don't know if I'd call it fan service or not, but like you said, it definitely kind of follows. That's one of the things that kind of irked me about the movie when I first saw it, because it's like the opening few minutes is the end of part 1, and then and then you've got a little bit of part 2 in there, and then you've got the brother showing up, so there's a little bit of part 4 in there. It just seemed like it was like, where am I? It was just kind of dizzying. It just had this kind of stop start kind of feel to it. But I've actually not seen the film in its entirety in many, many years. So
It's better than you remember.
I'm just glad they got
Check it out
Mrs.
again.
Voorhees in there, man. Because nobody talks about Mrs. Voorhees. I'm just glad she's in the fucking movie, even for a few
since
minutes.
we probably won't be seeing her going forward.
yeah, 'cause she's dead. I mean, the character's dead.
check it out again, Piz, seriously, because I saw it in the theater. I thoroughly enjoyed it, as did most of the audience. I mean, I can understand why it split fans, especially purists, but seriously, give it another chance.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I was just like, meh. But
yeah,
I think it aged pretty good, man.
Yeah, and look, it's probably better with weed, because considering this is the 420 version of Friday the 13th.
Well,
there's a lot of pot in it.
Well, that movie is not. There's one thing about it. It ain't woke at all. So I mean, there's just there's a lot of lady parts on the screen throughout it. So
it's definitely a middle of the pack entry in the series, but it's a high middle of the pack. It really is. It's not in the bottom quartile. There's no way.
I don't know. I like it better. Every time I see it.
Well, let's talk about. I did want to touch on, at least briefly, when it comes to. I was trying to make this point earlier with the Sonic film, where fans were upset about the look of Sonic, and people. It seemed like the overall sort of response from most people was just like, those are the fans. They messed up. You gotta do right by the fans, but. It seems like also when it comes to, maybe it just depends on the property, but if you are not happy with, if you're a fan of something and you're like The Witcher, for instance, people were pissed off about The Witcher for whatever reason. I don't know. I never played the games. I don't know how the games are or the books. Never played the games or read the books, but people were pissed off about the show for some reason. I don't know why. And they asked Henry Cavill in an interview about toxic fandom, and he said, "Well, I don't like this idea of toxic fandom. I think fans are passionate about what they love." Do you guys? And I know that people can be definitely toxic, but is that something that's played up more I'm trying to I can't pose my question properly. When does fan service become toxic, and is calling fans toxic, is that a way to kind of write off criticism? I guess is kind of what I'm trying to say.
I think at the heart of every fandom there are individuals. And if you really dig into somebody who you feel is being toxic as an individual, you'll find, I hope, and I think most of the time, you'll find legitimate reasons why they feel the way they feel. But unfortunately, when they get in groups, they don't communicate that well towards each other, and it just becomes kind of a well, I think, and as it swells, it gets worse and worse as it grows. But at the heart of it, it's not that the fandom is toxic, it's that an individual may be having that toxic feeling towards it because of X, Y, and Z. I just think you need to know who you're reading, who you're listening to, the type of people that you're allowing to kind of get into that headspace of yours before you make a judgment on what you're looking at. I'm just not a big fan of these big words that we use, like woke, like toxic, like, I think you just need to know the person as best as possible. And the internet's kind of the worst place for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't know how to best put that. And I know it's kind of a pie in the sky idea because it'd be hard to know everybody well enough. But if you go on Twitter, it's a mob of people that either, love something and you can't say anything negative against it because you're a hater, or it's a bunch of haters and you can't say anything positive because you're just being a whatever the label for that is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I sit on that.
Yeah. I hate the word toxic because the word toxic has been just so it's just like this coverall where, if you have any criticism toward, like the new Star Wars movies, oh, you're toxic, you're a toxic fan, you're just toxic. Go away, toxic fan. Go away, toxic person. I think the word toxic is just thrown around way too much. And passionate fans, passion is one thing, toxicity is another. I see a lot of passionate fans being called toxic. It's kind of where I'm coming from. I don't know. Anybody else want to chime in? Lauren, Stone, Gibbs?
I think that when you talk about the studios responding to fans of any stripe, it's an ugly look. Even when the fans love it and the studio's like, yeah, there's a problem with that because it's creating an in-group among what you hope to be an expanding fan base. I don't know about you, but I mean, I don't want to be the guy who, I don't know, is just licking the heels of the studio or always attacking the studio. I want to be the guy who goes to the movies to enjoy myself. And the rest of this comes off as noise. And Twitter is bad enough with the politics. We don't need to add this kind of social engineering of our entertainment. I try and keep my sense of humor about it. And sometimes that comes through, sometimes it doesn't. But I just think this is a really bad place for entertainment companies to go. At what point do they start making product thinking, well, I don't want to offend anyone, so we can't have this joke, or we can't have that sight gag, or that gore scene probably is pushing the envelope because it could be seen as potentially sexual. And what does that mean politically in 2000, whatever?
Right.
But by the same rate, I don't want to tie anyone's hands. Like, if someone wanted to make Black Christmas, that's the movie they wanted to make, right? They should have made that movie. Now, I don't think it necessarily should have that title, and we can discuss why, but I'm not against anyone expressing themselves. The problem is you can't express yourself and have that freedom and then have the right to shut everyone else down when they criticize you, because they have that right to speak too. So the problem is we don't communicate well. It's not that the communication is the problem. It's that none of us do nuance anywhere near as well as we should online. And I think it's going to create worse entertainment the more we focus on it, on all sides.
Yeah, I agree. I've definitely tried to be better on social media because, I mean, number one offender, fully admit it. It really is it's a crappy place when you're on there, and like the only thing I take exception with nowadays is simply when somebody's talking about something that has not released yet. You don't know yet, but if you go and see the movie and the next day you crap all over it, well, that's your thoughts on it. I mean, there's no sense of getting bent out of shape anymore over stuff like that. At least you saw the movie.
Mm. Well, yeah, let's talk politics here. Gibbs, who you voting for?
Oh heck no!
What side of the coin you fall on when it comes to abortion? The camera's on you. The camera's on you. It's not coming off either.
Thanks.
It's not coming off.
I appreciate that.
It's not coming off either. Okay,
I have very strong political views, but they ain't coming out tonight.
All right, Lauren, who you voting for?
Ross Perot.
Oh,
Better
hey,
late than never.
There you go. I'm going to write him in.
I mean late because he died last year.
Yeah.
Let's all write him in.
Now, the funny thing is, you probably think I'm joking, but right now, it's either the libertarian that wears the rubber boot on his head or a dead guy. Because all politicians are insane now. Their parties are ugly, nasty, and they don't represent anyone. So I'm going to be a dissent vote.
Remember when John Ashcroft lost to the dead guy?
Hey, listen. That dead guy might have been a better politician. I don't know.
He had to be. He was dead, and he still won. That's politics right there.
He did.
If you can win at being dead, that's one hell of a politician, if you ask me.
Oh yeah.
Barbecue Network points out that Bill Weld is running, and he's right. Unfortunately, he's running for the Republican nomination, and that means he doesn't have a chance. But Bill Weld was the vice, was running as the vice for Gary Johnson last time. I might have considered that.
All I'm saying, Vermin Supreme 2020, baby.
That's right. Boot on head.
Boot on head guy. Yep.
Absolutely.
Who's getting my vote. All right, Gibbs, back to you. Come on. We're waiting.
Michael Dukakis.
Dukakis.
Feel the burn. What do you think?
Dukakis. There we go. Dukakis 2020, baby. Goodness gracious. Let's see.
He won't do any worse this time.
Let's see what's going on out in the chat. Goodness gracious. Politics don't belong in Hollywood, aka entertainment, says Joe Bob Tarr. Nico says hating on a movie is perfectly cool. Hating on an actor for taking a role, not so much. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people toxic in the chat. Steak Sauce is, of course, toxic. He's always toxic. Barbecue Network's a little toxic.
Barbecue Network's not a big fan of McNuggets. I can just tell you right now.
Cameron
Barbecue
Cloutier.
Network.
Cameron Cloutier's toxic as all get out.
It's just toxic masculinity all over the place.
It is just toxic masculinity.
We should probably take our shirts off.
Let's see. Adam, the motion picture history horror fan. What's up, buddy? Hope you're doing well. Captain Halloween says Police Academy 7 is better than Nightmare 2010. Please, I have to go back and rewatch Police Academy 7. I don't remember that one very well. Crystal Lake. Chris says Halloween 2018 was better than the Friday the 13th remake.
It's good that people are allowed to be wrong in our society.
Thank you.
It's a strong indication that the democracy is still working.
Oh, goodness. What else have we got going on here?
Please just read all of Barbecue Network's comments.
Hold on. I'm scrolling through looking for some good ones. Let's see. BBQ. McNuggets not include. You're not inclusive enough for Barbecue Network. Andrew.
Inclusive how? Tell me how I could be inclusive.
He just wants you to be more inclusive. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
He wants you to invite him over for lunch.
I think that's it. Joe Bob Tar Heel says Pizzelle Lorne 2020.
So, are felons allowed to run?
Why not? I say why not? Are you admitting that you have a felony criminal record?
Not yet, but I have plans.
Okay, well.
Plans.
Well, first become president and then commit the felonies. You're not. I mean, come on.
Piz, if they find Orc's body, what are either of us going to do?
Oh yeah, nobody's going to find it. Not where I put it.
Just keep it out of the shallow grave because that's where they always find the bodies.
You don't bury bodies. That preserves them. You leave them in large open areas without clothes on them. You spray them down with Pam cooking spray. That gets animals attracted. Let the animals dispose of the body. The Poconos are a good area. Someplace large, wooded, and not really traveled.
This really explains a lot. Yeah, thanks.
I'm not going to read Joe Bob Tar Heel's comment there, but I did laugh a little bit at it.
Jay, read it. Read it, Jay.
Don't.
Read it out loud, Jay. Do it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty funny. It was pretty funny. Would love to hear Sausage Factory guests' opinions on Rambo Last Blood. Any of y'all see it? I've not seen it, Dave. Anybody seen Rambo Last Blood?
I
Seen
did.
it.
Thoughts on? What were your thoughts on it, Stingray?
That was okay.
It's a
It wasn't terrible. I mean, what do you guys think?
What do you think, Christian?
I liked it. I thought it was just fucking brutal, man. And I've been eating a film like that where I can just vicariously murder people through the screen. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about some heavy subject matter in that movie. So if you needed to hate somebody in a movie, that movie had people to hate. That's for sure. So it was nice seeing him. It was almost like a Mortal Kombat film at the end. Like Stallone needs to be that First Blood character of Rambo needs to be in the next Mortal Kombat game because the ending was the ending. All it missed was that voice going fatality. So it was brutal. I definitely recommend checking it out. I liked it a lot.
Is it out yet? Like on digital and Blu-ray?
Oh yeah, it's been out, man. It's been out.
Yeah.
I figured it. I figured it was.
Since the holidays.
I mean, going back to what somebody said earlier, like I did consider that movie somewhat of in a sense, a risk because it just seemed different. It was like Rambo was home. It was a different element. He had to deal with crazy shit, in the States, and it was refreshing for me. It was nice seeing Rambo have to deal with problems in the U.S. and stuff. So, I mean, it halfway U.S., but I loved it. I really liked it a lot. I think it's probably my second favorite one at this point. No, maybe third, because I really liked Rambo 4 or Rambo, whatever the hell it's called. I don't know why they couldn't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I did. I really liked that movie. I like it more than 2 and 3. So
Yeah.
People hate
Hell yeah.
numbers. People hate numbers.
2 and 3. I mean, it's like, man, they're. This was when he was competing with Schwarzenegger, who can do the craziest stuff and all that. So it's just fun, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but. Man, I felt something from that Last Blood. Like I felt that movie in my chest the whole time. I was like, Jesus, man, this is heavy stuff. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it.
I still think the fourth film is the best of the sequel, certainly. Probably even the franchise.
Is that just the Rambo one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think Last Blood overtakes it by any means because it doesn't feel as desperate. But Last Blood does some things that you'll be surprised that they go where they go at times.
Yes.
And it also allows the Rambo character to be age appropriate, which is pretty brave too, I thought. So I think it's worth watching. It's not going to make your best of year lists, but it's good.
How about here's something that I like in horror. You can make a Friday the 13th movie or a Nightmare on Elm Street movie with the same old Jason or Freddy that we all know and love, but if you can take it into a direction where it is something, it's taking chances that way. It's going the extra step where you don't feel safe. You feel like you're not in the hands of, I don't know. Having a hard time formulating my thoughts tonight.
In essence, Piz, would you almost say like what It 2017 did? Because we all seem to like that, and that's like, how do you describe what did they do besides? Because we all know we love the kids, right? They were cool, and Pennywise was a lot more shape-shifty. I mean, he was shape-shifty in the original, but in this one, like it was his forte, right?
Yeah, I don't.
So did you feel safe with that movie, or were you just like, this is gonna be okay, and then you really loved it? What was the deal with that?
I don't. With that movie, I don't know. I think that movie just had. I don't know.
Yeah.
It had it. It had it. I don't know what it is exactly. I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. The kid actors were really good. They were all well written. Pennywise was well. I think they took a chance on Pennywise because when everybody heard that Bill Skarsgård was playing Pennywise, what were your thoughts? Like, he's a pretty boy. He can't play Pennywise. He's like a model. You know what I mean? They took a risk on him, and he played one hell of a Pennywise, I thought. And then when they first showed, here's what Pennywise is going to look like, everybody was like, "Oh, that doesn't look very good."
Yeah.
But it was so, the fact that it was kind of simple made it, I think, more sort of, I don't know. I wouldn't say scary, but made it, I don't know, just made it more real in a way.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that movie had that really the sequel didn't is it just had, like, I don't know, there was just heart there.
Well, sure, absolutely.
And I don't know how to necessarily describe what heart is in a movie, but it had it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is like what that movie did right. Would you just try to like take the elements of what they did right and do that with something like Nightmare? But I just don't know if it's that simple. You know what I mean? Like, because it's not the same thing. Maybe in a sense it's kind of the same thing, but like I just don't know that there is a book that says, okay, this is how we've got to make this good, make fans happy, but take safe. Like, is there such thing as safe risks? Because I don't know. I thought making Pennywise look different is not a safe risk. You would think, looking back, that's I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, that Pennywise now, he's going to be in Walgreens this year in Halloween, Piz. I mean, that Tim Curry, God bless him, but like this new Pennywise, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere now. So it's like that was a risk that went big. So I'm trying to figure out what is the right thing to do if they did a Nightmare. Like, what kind of risks should they take?
I don't know.
Because changing Freddy is a pretty big deal if they did that.
I think if they could take us out of our comfort zone with what we're comfortable with that kind of movie, and take risks in that way, make it darker, make Freddy a child molesting child killer. You know what I mean? Make him dark and challenge us. But I don't think they'll do that. But go ahead, Stingray.
Don't let some music video director direct the film.
Well, yeah, that's a good idea too.
Give it to like Mike Flanagan or something.
Yeah.
Like Lucky McKee, a guy that I trust to make solid films.
Yeah, that would be a wise move. Let's give it to an actual filmmaker, and not the guy who directed the last Britney video.
Well, what about like some good examples of fan service? Like I know you said it, but what about like Mad Max Fury Road?
Oh, sure. Sure.
I love that. I love that film.
I'm not sure that's really fan service. I mean, there's a difference between having a formula and fan service.
Okay, well, maybe let's establish what fan service is exactly then.
Well, to me, I mean, I don't get to make the rules, but to me, fan service is echoing an element from an earlier iteration of a thing, so that you get a cheap sense or a cheap reaction out of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like
maybe Fury Road was so good because it didn't go that route. It didn't throw Thunderdome in our faces like, hey, look, there's Thunderdome, or like, hey, there's that crazy kid from the end of Road Warrior, all grown up, Maybe that's why part of
right.
it
It could have done that, huh?
Maybe that's why part of the reason why it was so successful. It didn't,
Yeah, if Charlize Theron at some point had turned to him and said, "We don't need a hero," that would have been fan service, and it would have been horrific. But just setting something in that world with the basic outline of the films, to me that's acceptable because that's what a sequel kind of is. It's not what maybe a sequel should be, but it's what a sequel is. I don't know. I think a good example of fan service is when you pull everything together in a compact package. You refer back, but it actually reinforms. So as much as most of the panel is not going to like this, Saw 2 kind of brilliantly uses the game over line again, but it comes at the point of a big punchline of what you've been actually watching versus what you thought you were watching. So it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like just fan service. It feels like a logical way to bridge the first and second film, both on what just happened and in that line of dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if they do that, every film eventually gets old again.
Right.
Do you think Psycho 2 is like anti-fan service because of how much it absolutely jacked the formula? They're both beautiful movies, but like, holy crap. My mind was blown there. I didn't think they would do that, and they did. And that was a big risk. Now, obviously, it wasn't Psycho level of popular, but what a good movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it should be, though. Psycho 2 is a really solid script. Yeah. Like ridiculously layered. And it doesn't get the attention it deserves. Not by slasher fans or horror fans or cinema fans in general. But I don't think you possibly could have gotten a sequel to Psycho that's any better than that film.
I mean, what a freaking risk. I mean, you're taking Hitchcock and basically dumping its story on its head.
You're not taking 39 Steps. You're taking Psycho.
The only bigger risk I could imagine is doing a shot-for-shot remake of the original Psycho.
That's brave.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
you
a
don't
level
like that
of brave that just is suicidal.
It just sucks, man, because I love Gus Van Sant so much. Like,
yeah, I don't know what was the thought process behind that. I don't know what they were thinking.
He's always said that he thought that someday someone would make a Psycho remake, so that if he wanted to get it out of the way, that acknowledged that you were not going to make a better film. But it seems like a big kind of statement to make to force people to watch for 2 hours.
Yeah, like a big expensive statement too.
Yeah,
it's a mess.
Yeah, that's
that.
I don't know. Yeah, that's just I don't know.
In essence, it was basically an HD remaster of what they do with Nintendo games now, and they just take Turok and remaster it and put it on the system. It's the same thing. That's the equivalent
to
what that is.
The gherkin. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that. I mean, I don't know. It's like, let's bring in like a talented filmmaker, and
Vince I thought that Gus guy is. Gus, ain't he a pretty prolific guy?
Yes, yeah, very talented filmmaker. And just, shot for shot remake of a movie that there's no way you're gonna, even if you do it shot for shot. I mean, it's a no-win situation. That was a complete no-win situation.
Yeah.
And this was right after he did Good Will Hunting, so his cred spec was like, out of this world.
He might have been worn out. Just give me the script to the original. F it. We'll do it live. Maybe he pulled a Bill O'Reilly.
I would have loved for them to adapt the novel. It sounds like such an obvious move, but there's significant differences, and I think
I read the novel.
It was the way to do it. Yeah, it would be the legitimate way to do it.
There's enough differences there, though, to make a different film, and that's the big thing. I mean, I'd like to see Forrest Gump. Could you imagine? I mean, the character in the novel compared to what was on screen with Tom Hanks. I know it's not anywhere near horror, but I mean, such different characters. Like Norman Bates was not the same man he is in that in Psycho.
An overweight, like regressive child, basically.
I was actually watching a video the other day of someone who was comparing the book Dr. Sleep to the movie Dr. Sleep, and it really sounds like Mike Flanagan was trying to do fan service in Dr. Sleep to both fans of the book and fans of the movie, even though fans of, the biggest fan of that book, I'm guessing, is Stephen King. He hates the movie, right? So, and especially at the end of the film, because in the Shining novel, the Overlook burns down. So at the end of the novel, there's no showdown inside the Overlook. So he had to change the ending of the book entirely, so that the Overlook is there, so that the fans can have their fan, and that was fan service. I sat through that movie just giddy, waiting to get to the Overlook, and it's fan service, yeah, but that was fan service. I wanted that. I wanted to go back to the Overlook. I wanted to walk through those halls again.
I thought it was unnecessary, honestly. I thought it was a solid film on its own without having to do that.
And I think it fell on its face when it went there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the movie so much. That last act is a mess, and the film before it was looking like a minor masterpiece.
That's why I want to see that director's, the extended cut. It's got like an extra hour in it. I want to see that.
I think it's like, is it an hour? It's like 30. There's a lot of stuff he cut out of it.
I thought it was quite a bit of time that they cut out. But.
Yeah.
Well, there were things that I was didn't like about the third act of it, but yeah, I was waiting to get back to the Overlook. I was giddy when we got to the Overlook, because I wanted some scene with Jack in it. And now the book ending would not have worked in the movie, because the Overlook's not in the book; it's burnt down. But like the showdown in the book takes place on like a mountain, on the mountain where the Overlook used to be, before it burnt down. And like the spirit of Jack Torrance's spirit shows up at the end and kind of gives Danny an assist, and there's the poignant Stephen King moment where Danny looks at his ghostly father and he waves at him or blows him a kiss or something. Like the person couldn't remember what either waves or blows him a kiss. But what's her name? The Hat's death in the book is much better. I think much better, far more brutal.
And to answer Jay's question, the director's cut of Dr. Sleep is approximately 181 minutes, which is 29 minutes more than the theatrical release at 152. So an additional half hour.
That's still quite a bit of footage.
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking it was longer.
And the box office 72.3 on a 45 mil budget. Oh, that's just sad.
Yeah,
that's just sad.
I wonder why. Do you think people didn't know that was like a Shining sequel, or did people not care that it was a Shining sequel, or is it Stephen King fatigue?
Why did it fail?
Later. It's
Well-
40 years later. That's what it is.
But I'm just based on the fact that it's a Stephen King property. After all these, Stephen King is so hot. Couldn't
Yeah.
It's a later King novel, though.
I'm saying just the name Stephen King attached to
No,
something.
no,
It should.
no. Guys, do you remember all those early 90s, late 80s King adaptations that no one gave a crap about?
Well, but I mean,
Oh
that
yeah,
was.
Graveyard Shift. Yeah.
But I mean,
Horrible.
lately everything is come back up, Stephen, with the exception of like the Dark Tower. It Chapter 2. There was the series Castle Rock. There was a bunch of Netflix stuff based on short stories from him. I mean, he was on a roll here lately.
Would have it done better if it was called The Shining 2, Doctor Sleep?
I don't know. I was thinking that maybe. I don't know.
I don't think it would have hurt at all.
No one was confused about what it was. The trailers were extremely explicit to anyone who was a fan of The Shining. They looked at the first 2 minutes that first 20 seconds of that trailer and knew what it was.
Why do you think it didn't perform well then?
Because it's later King. That splits the fans. There's a line in the sand.
Even for the casual moviegoer who never read the It novel, but they love the It movies, and oh well, here's another Stephen King thing. Let's go watch it because we love Stephen King. So let's go watch it. It didn't seem to catch on with that audience either. It didn't seem to catch on with any audience.
Oh, sorry. Theoretically, it should. Oh, sure. Sorry.
It takes a lot for a horror film to move into the mainstream. We consider horror to be a big hit when it costs $20 million and it brings in 60. We don't. The expectation of It numbers was always going to be unrealistic. Unfortunately, the film was fairly expensive for what they needed to bring back. It's not. Stephen King is at his peak popularity in those works between 75 and 88. When you get beyond that, it gets iffy real fast. And to the average moviegoer right now who can wait 3 months and then stream it, you have to bring them in with a title or a performance, something that's really, really, really going to get the butt in the seat. Stephen King's name itself is not all that special. Like you said, they could go to Netflix and catch up on the 11, I don't know, the Kennedy assassination time travel thing. Maybe they never watched the Under the Dome series. Maybe they didn't watch It Chapter 2 yet. There's plenty they can go to for Stephen King and just wait for it to stream. The problem is The Shining as a title is real strong, but it's been done a few times. Dr. Sleep is a later title. It does not have that importance with the typical Joe moviegoer.
I think it was a lot of the release date was a lot of the problem too. It's like everybody was like, the average person was tired of horror by that time. It was November 8th, right? So they were like, they'd already done Halloween.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they released it right after Halloween. Yeah.
It's not good. It wasn't a good choice of release dates, I don't think.
That's very true. That right after Halloween, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Don't forget, too, that It Chapter 1 released after a big national headline about killer clowns in the news. And it also came on the coattails of Young Kids and Stranger Things being a very popular show. And this is another property with young kids in a team with the camaraderie and the whole thing. I'm not saying it's chasing the coattails. It came first, obviously. But I think that was a very popular thing, and it rang very true to an audience.
So when you look at that Castle Rock show that's on, is it Hulu?
Yes.
So are they mining characters from Dreamcatcher and from Insomnia? Or are they mining Harry and The Shining? And you get my point, right?
I think Dreamcatcher is a brilliant novel.
You need help. It's just where the public consciousness is not the same as the hardcore horror fan or the hardcore Stephen King fan. And the hardcore Stephen King fan and the hardcore horror fan, even if they'd shown up, which they didn't, wasn't going to be enough to bring back that kind of a budget into profit. You needed the mainstream for that to be that kind of stuff. Even even Dark Tower, even though it looked bad, wasn't the kind of title that was going to draw the average moviegoer in. It was, but perhaps everyone's forgotten how big it was as a novel when it came out. It was huge. It was a bestseller for 4 months in hardcover, and it was an expensive hardcover at the time. It's hard to compare Dr. Sleep, which came out later and sold to his fans, but it sold a fraction of what it sold.
Gib, can you give us an example of fan service in the gaming world? Good fan service and bad fan service in the gaming sphere.
Well, actually, as I was going to do in my corner, I could just go ahead and talk about.
Go for it.
Yeah, Sonic and Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing. Kind of a Mario Kart clone with a lot of like the Sega characters and the Sega race courses. It had a sequel called Transformed, Sonic and All Star Racing Transformed, which had a lot more like deep cuts than some of the older franchises that very few people would know about. Games like Burning Rangers. That was a really cool, example of fan service. I don't know. I can't think of anything, negative. I can't think of any bad fan service in a video game because, video games are not quite that serious a thing. You can kind of have a lot more fun and a lot more leeway with them. So,
give us a retro gaming recommendation for this week.
Well, like I said, the Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing line, they've been doing those for a while. They got one for the Switch. Like I said, they're kind of like the Mario Kart series, but with a lot more speed. And in my opinion, they're kind of a superior game, and multiple players can play the Switch version online, and kind of good for all ages. Go ahead.
Okay, wait a minute. You're a retro gamer.
Yes.
You don't have an Xbox One or a PS4, but you do have a Switch.
My son has
You do have a Switch.
My son has a Switch and an Xbox One. So.
Okay, but you're playing the Switch. Okay, you've completely sold out to the retro gaming community. Okay.
I'm one of the only retro gamers that's not really into new stuff. It blows my mind because, you look at an Atari 2600 game and an Xbox One game, I'm amazed at how, across the YouTube community, retro gaming, people can have so much appreciation for both because they're such totally different animals. Mm-hmm. So, no, I'm actually the oddball for not being, into the new stuff.
I can remember the first time I tried playing a PlayStation 1 at my buddy's house. He handed me the controller, and I just went like, there are so many buttons. What are all these? Why are there so many buttons? There's triggers, and what? It's like, I'm not playing this. This is too complicated.
I felt the same way about the Super Nintendo controller.
I love the Super Nintendo controller, but now once it got beyond that, I was lost. I was out for the longest time. Yeah. I was out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Sega Genesis had 3 buttons, and that was all I could handle. I think not the brightest crayon in the box.
I hated my buddy bought Mortal Kombat on Sega because that was the one that had the blood in it, right? And trying to play that with 3 buttons after playing it with 4 on the Super Nintendo was like, oh my God, keep the blood. Let me get my Super Nintendo back. You know what I mean?
Well, you can get a 6-button controller for the Genesis.
Yeah. Well, and then I found out there's like a code that you could put in on the Super Nintendo version and you could get the blood. Or maybe that was MK2.
No, that was the Genesis version. You could type in the blood code.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the first one
was a blood code somewhere.
Yeah, it was in the Genesis version.
Anyway, yeah, the 3 buttons for fighting games not good.
No, you had to hit start to switch the buttons. So yeah that's no good.
That's ridiculous.
No doubt.
It was cool though that you could plug the Genesis controllers into like an old Atari though. That was cool.
Yes. Yes, because if you've tried to use an Atari controller, they're so stiff and awkward. I mean, I used to play the heck out of them, but now I don't know if if just the age of the controllers, or if it's just, we got that much better. But it is very hard to play with an Atari controller.
Do you have the old Atari? I forget. It's the one after the 2700. That the controller was. It had like the dial pad on.
5200.
Okay, yeah,
the
that was
non-centering controller.
That was the very first gaming console I ever owned, and yeah, that was the very first one I ever owned. And man, I just remember that controller, just thinking like, can I call people on it? It's got like a dial thing on it, it was crazy.
Did it tear up on you very quickly?
I honestly don't remember. I actually think I traded it and all the games that I had on it, which were quite a few, for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on NES.
Oh, that's a good trade. Yeah, that controller was famous because there was something that would happen where the inputs inside it would get like a coating on them, and it would literally wear out in a matter of, or quit working in a matter of weeks, and they never bothered to fix it. So that controller's infamous.
My controllers always worked, but I do remember. I'm almost positive I traded the console and all the games I had with it for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on NES.
Yeah, you came out way ahead on that.
And this was Mike Tyson. This was Super Macho Man when they put him in there instead of Tyson. After the
Mr. Dream.
Mr. Dream, that's it. Mr. Dream, yeah. It was the real Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
No doubt, no doubt.
Well, let's see. Let's go to Lorne here. Let's do a new episode of Lorne's Scorn. What's under your craw this week, Lorne?
What isn't?
What's the number one thing?
So, like I made reference to earlier, there's two movies that I'm seeing this weekend, and both of them in genre, and it's beyond annoying to me that we have 12 screens on most of these, multiplexes out there. They're showing films that have been out forever that aren't selling a single ticket for most of the week. And yet the two films I want to see this weekend, I'm going to end up driving a decent length across the state for. One, because it's an import, and the other because it's not simply an AMC exclusive, but it doesn't have a lot of screens besides those AMC screens. This is absolutely ridiculous at this point. We have the screens, we have the hunger as fans for more and different, and these companies aren't noticing. I don't know if we should all just take to Twitter and just scream at whatever local theater chain you have to just take a chance, because these are digital releases to the theaters. They're not sending prints. They're sending hard drives. These hard drives can even be reprogrammed remotely at this point. There is no reason for us to have these limited choices. And yes, I'm talking about the horror genre, but I could talk about any genre or any limited release. The truth is, there's no excuse for it anymore. We deserve to have the opportunity to see what we want in the movie theater setting. This is what's killing theaters, is that the chance to watch whatever you want at home in decent quality is really competitive. And I want movie theaters to survive. I want the theater experience to go on. But I also am not going to fool myself. At a certain point, I'm going to give up on going to see most genre films that come out if the quality continues like it's been with the choices I've had so far this year. At this point, we've had 4 major horror releases in a year that we're not even 2 months into. There hasn't been a good film yet. Not domestically, but I did see a great film that was an import. And I hope to see 2 films that are good this year, but neither one of them are going to play on anywhere near the number of screens that those 4 bad releases got. So at what point, as fans, as consumers, are we just going to stand up and demand some kind of change? Look, I get that we're all, even combined together, not a big part of the entertainment landscape. And I understand that our money might not be anything compared to what Lucasfilm will make on opening weekend for their next Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Willow reboot. But that doesn't matter. The truth is, we are still a thriving community that can make a big difference for these companies, whether it's the distributors, the exhibitors, or the production houses. They need to hear us. So my call to action for everyone is go out and make some noise about this. If you want to see The Lodge, Stone saw it. He said it was excellent. I'm anticipating enjoying it. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go say, if it ends up being a great film, we need to make sure that a film like this gets more screens in its second week of wide release. Not less. And that's what's going to happen.
I want to say this. If Willow gets a reboot, you bet your ass I'm going to be there. Opening weekend. You bet.
His is the death of cinema.
Oh goodness, let's see what's in Stingray Spotlight this week.
Stingray Spotlight for this week. I've got 2 films from 2018.
Okay.
I know one is on Netflix. Let's see. Not sure where the other one is, but the first one is The Perfection. I don't know if anyone's seen that.
I've heard of it.
It's got the girl from Get Out, the one, the girlfriend character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a Netflix movie, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I love that so much.
It's so good because it keeps you guessing the entire way. Like you think you've got it figured out, and even like to the last little bit of the film, it's still, and it's disturbing, man. Some of the stuff in there, and it's got Steven Weber in it.
Right.
From Wings. If you ever watched that show, he was one of the Hackett brothers. But he's done all kinds of other stuff too. He was in the Shining remake for the TV remake version. He was Jack Torrance in that, I believe. And I forgot what the other film is. 1 second, bear with me. So I actually did some homework and I forgot. It was The House that Jack built. That's what it was. And have you seen that one yet, Biz?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say you'd like that if you haven't seen this yet. It's really cool serial killer film with Matt Dillon.
It's what's the director's name?
Lars von
Trier. Yeah, Lars von Trier. Yeah.
And I like virtually everything he's done, so I'm a pretty big fan of his. But it's so tongue in cheek and dark comedy throughout. It's so funny, and I've watched that film like 4 times in the past year, so I really like it.
When he's driving in the van with Uma Thurman, how can you not want him to kill her?
Right.
I mean, like you're begging him to kill her. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, he does. So
yeah.
It's definitely worth it.
It's definitely, but when it gets dark and brutal, it's like really freaking brutal, man.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but there's some really funny stuff the way he kills people.
Yeah, like his one of his early victims, where he keeps going back to the house over and over again to make sure it's clean.
Yeah, he's got OCD real bad.
Yeah, like that was cracking me up. He just kept going back in. Oh my god.
And then how he eventually leaves that scene with the body is hilarious too.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah, it's just really good. I'd highly recommend it to everybody. It was one that kind of got swept under the rug. I think you don't really hear it talked about very much.
Yeah. I was going to do a review of it, but then I was like, I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten around to watching it again, but I did like it.
That's on Showtime. If anybody has like the streaming service of Showtime.
Yeah. There is one scene in it. Don't want to give anything away, but when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh my god, that's disturbing." But then I looked into it and I was like, "Okay, it was just digital."
I think people probably that was one of the things that actually put the film on the map. I think was that there's an animal killing scene that is not real for anybody that is wondering. It looks real though.
It looked very real. It looked very real. And with Lars von Trier, I mean, I was like, he would probably do that. You know what I mean? To get the right reaction. You know.
Yeah. And it's
not really.
set like in the 60s and 70s, I think. So it's kind of a fun, like really before, serial killers were huge, in the news and stuff. So I think that's another thing that kind of sets it out. It's a little unique as far as that goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Mr. Sophistication. That's actually my name on Twitter right now. If anybody's wondering where that came from, that's what he calls himself.
Let's see. Do we have any recommendations for Christian this week for the What Christian's Missing segment?
Christian's freaking asleep. What are you talking about?
No, I'm right here.
Because I think Christian he is almost asleep, but it's okay.
I'm just like I said, just all that rain, man. It's like sucking the life out of me. I haven't seen the sun in days.
You gotta get you some vitamin D, man. Get you some vitamin D supplements. Perk you right up. But I saw that you the last episode we did, you were talking about getting into some more Argento stuff. You got Bird with the Crystal Plumage and Cat o' Nine Tails, right?
Yeah, I watched both of those.
Mm-hmm. And what were your thoughts on both?
I loved Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Cat o' Nine Tails, it like felt American, and it just was like boring. I didn't like Cat o' Nine Tails. I did like Bird with the Crystal Plumage though, a lot actually. It's creepy, man. That any kind of stuff with like a voice on the phone, man, I love that stuff. So Bird with a Crystal Plumage at this point in time is my favorite Dario movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What is that, Bad Stone? I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's a good Argento.
Dude, I really liked Bird. I mean, I like it more than Deep Red. I like Deep Red, don't get me wrong, but I really liked Bird with the Crystal Plumage.
Well, and even Argento doesn't. Even Argento kind of admits that Cat o' Nine Tails.
It felt American. It felt like a U.S. film almost, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, this doesn't feel like half-assed like Italian like I want it to. Like, what is this?" Yeah. It felt safe. It felt, I don't want to say predictable. Dude, Bird with the Crystal Plumage, it was so creepy and all that stuff. And then I watched this movie. I was like, I'm not creeped out. Like, I feel my skin is not crawling like it was in the first one. So,
yeah. But
I don't know what's after that chronologically.
I think he actually got, well, let's see. There was a point where he did a Western. He was like done with horror. He wanted to move on and do a Western. And then that movie flopped. And he was like, Deep Red is next. So I mean, he quickly came back to horror.
My wife is actually, she likes him. She likes Dario a lot. She keeps pushing. It's either pronounced Tenebrae. She keeps saying, "Watch that one, you son of a bitch!" Like she loves that movie. So
Tenebrae is very
Tenebrae.
Good. Tenebrae is very.
I saw Opera. I didn't love Opera. I may not ever watch it again in my entire life.
So you need to complete the Animal trilogy. Since the early stuff is what you've been focusing on, Four Flies on Grey Velvet is your next stop. Don't expect Bird with Crystal Plumage out of it, but you probably should see it. Good finale. So the Argento is one of those things though, like it gets more dangerous as you go along because you're going to love or hate certain projects. If you didn't particularly love Opera, it might be a rough go for you. Because a lot of the later Argento is hit or miss, and that film is probably the breaking point for most people.
You mean Opera? Are you talking about Opera? You mean Opera?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I like Stendhal Syndrome. I like Stendhal Syndrome a lot. It's a film that I got to see during its U.S. release, and I went into the city to see, and I do enjoy that film quite a lot. So that's where I turn, but a lot of people don't even go that far.
I can't back you on Stendhal Syndrome. I do like Opera quite a bit, but I think I would finish up.
I like Opera. I wasn't. I think you remember I was like I'm waiting to find my because with Lucio I love Zombie and
right
like that. I love that movie. I'm trying to find my love with Zombie that I do with Dario, and the closest thing right now for me is Crystal Plumage. But Piz, like, I got hope for the '80s still because. Like, dude, I like what he did in Flies a lot. I thought he had the better episode. And I'm a George Romero mark but I thought he had the better episode. I love Two Evil Eyes. So
yeah,
his was by far the better one. Yeah, by far.
that's not even a question.
Yeah, I like Romero's, but I think that was not the post story Romero wanted to do. So I think he just was kind of like, no,
that's fine. I mean, I like Romero's stuff, but yeah, Dario's just the first 10 seconds. I was like, damn, like the visuals of it. So I got hope for the 80s. What was that, 90? So I got hope for the 80s. I got hope. I'm just waiting.
Have you seen Phenomena yet?
Hopefully, Tenebrae will knock my socks off because my wife puts it off.
Have you seen Phenomena?
No, I haven't.
That one to me is kind of, sometimes I watch it and I'm like, yeah, this is really good. And then sometimes I watch it and I go, let's just get this over with. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of the crazier things he's ever done.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, young Jennifer Connelly. It's a very supernatural giallo. It's got Donald Pleasance in it.
It does.
Oh, does it? Well,
yeah, it's got some Donald Pleasance in there.
Not as much as you might think, though.
Not as much as you might think. But Donald Pleasance is it's good to see Donald Pleasance in anything. But Donald Pleasance is in there. I do think you'll like Tenebrae.
I like Tenebrae.
Tenebrae is very kind of down and dirty.
Good.
He's
Good
not
deal.
quite as overly visual, with that one as he was with like Deep Red or even Opera. But I think you'll like it.
And then the big question is Inferno. I love Inferno because I love that Mario Bava was AD for all the special effects sequences, which are showstoppers. And it's like the last thing he worked on. But it's a take or leave film. A lot of people have problems with it.
I love those scenes in the film, but I don't like very much of the rest of the movie.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And when we get to the end and he decides he wants to remake Black Sunday, I'm not sure what he was thinking.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I think I want to go to the 80s. I don't want to do any more 70s right now. Just for now. I'd rather go to the 80s.
Martino. Go to Sergio Martino. Go to All the Colors of the Night. Try someone else for a moment. Don't go through the entire Argento catalog in one roar. I think that's a mistake. You want to have stuff to come back to.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm getting my red, white, and blue in very frequently. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Concrete Special recommends The Bloodstained Butterfly. He also says that he has about 7,000 films that he's been collecting for about 35 years. On
Good God
formats.
Almighty!
Oh,
So, my hat's off to you, my friend. Yeah, I had The Bloodstained Butterfly in my Amazon Prime queue forever. Like, I don't even know it's even still available on there. But I don't know. Hello, Barbecue Network. Hi. Hope you're doing well. Well, let's go ahead and let's wrap it up there. I've made a little note here to watch The Perfection.
Dude, I love that movie.
Well, let's go ahead and call it a night, guys. I think we've said all that needs to be said. But yes, so thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight, everybody out in the chat. We've had another very lively chat tonight. Shout outs to Barbecue Network, to Steak Sauce, to Nico, Captain Halloween, Concrete Special, Roland 666, DJ Donley, Adam the Motion Picture History Horror Fan, E-Boogie, E-Boogie, Joe Bob Tarhill, our old buddy Jerpin, Jack Whitaker, who says that the Nintendo 64 had one of the worst gaming controllers ever made. Is that the one that had the thumb thing like right in the middle down at the bottom? Like there was like a pistol grip and a thumb thing? Okay. I remember that one.
Terrible.
My buddy had one of those. I remember trying to play Doom on that thing.
That system had great wrestling games, but that controller made them almost impossible.
Hell yeah.
So.
It seems to me too like that controller was like enormous too. It was just so huge. Just I don't. Movie Man 95. Yes, thanks for hanging out tonight, guys. Thanks for a lively chat. You guys are always awesome. And big thanks to my panel here, to Christian. Go check out his channel, Christian Hanahara.
Thank you. That's how I say it, I guess.
There you go. Make sure you've got to pronounce the "or" at the end, or people think you're talking about a completely different genre. Jay the Stingray has his own channel. He also has several shows with Cole, the Pocket Dimension, the movie discussion Pocket Dimension,
Plateau TV with Eric.
I was going to say Plateau TV with Eric.
We've got a new show coming that you guys might be interested in. It's called The Final Dungeon. It's going to be strictly video game talk. With Cole and Eric as well.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah. To my buddy Lorne, aka Visited by Voices 1, here on YouTube. He did a video, uploaded it just today, talking about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's awesome.
Cinematic autopsy of that film, which was quite good. He's trying to prove that he's a real horror fan. He's working on it. He's getting there. He'll be there someday, I'm sure.
So the funniest thing there is that YouTube bounced me down with a copyright strike for using the freaking camera flash sound.
Are you serious?
Whoa.
Yeah, I had to take it down, re-upload it with it buried in music instead.
Oh man, that is lame.
Who owns the flash sound?
Apparently they have a piece of software that matches up audio with any film that's available to buy on their service.
Okay.
Wow.
It was ridiculous, but I fixed it, so they're happy.
Okay.
So instead you get me basically covering the kinks, but it's in a different key, so they'll never figure it out.
There you go. A very nice video. I mean, if YouTube is gonna take down one of your videos, take down that god awful Friday the 13th Part 5 video you did. That was garbage, trash.
That is my third highest.
I know, that's because I go to it every day to thumb it down and report it. But that video was just garbage, trash, filth. Garbage, trash, filth.
But wait, but New Beginning isn't?
God. You take one step toward being a real horror fan, and then you take like a million steps backward. So.
Hey, wait, Piz.
Sure.
Is A New Beginning a giallo?
It's got some giallo elements, yeah.
Christian, shut the fuck up.
It does. It's got the murder mystery elements. It's very sleazy.
No, it is not freaking giallo.
It's
barely
close.
over there.
It's mostly a Showtime giggler. Okay,
I am actually.
Calm down,
I'm
son,
actually
calm
gonna.
down,
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it right here and right now. Adding to Danny Steinman's brilliance, he was inspired by giallos. This is a giallo slasher crossover.
That's why I've been.
Wow.
There you go, Piz. We just opened up a new door.
I know. I think that'll be next week's topic. American giallos, and the very first movie on that list is A New Beginning.
He's gone.
Man. Jeez, Pete. But thank you, Andrew, for joining us tonight as well. I know you recently kind of restarted your channel with some new uploads. Okay.
Yep, Mr. McNugget. We're going to give it a go this time. See how it goes.
Mr.
I just subbed to you. I found you the other day.
Hey, appreciate it. Yeah, it's you got to spell Mr. out. Yes, the Impossible Whopper.
Could you tell? That
you can't tell, but it's darn close. So
yes.
It's close enough to be able to enjoy it.
Very much so. I agree. I agree. It was. You could tell, but like you said, it was close enough that you could still enjoy it and have a good meal.
Yeah.
And thank you, Stone, for joining us tonight. Also, Stone does not have a YouTube channel, but he doesn't need one because he's eating like beef, tacos, and smoking dope all day. So he's leading the life. He's got the life already. He doesn't need YouTube.
Extremely jealous, dude.
And my buddy Gibbs, the obsoletionist. You can follow him on Twitter. He's also on Instagram.
My
MySpace.
Instagram is MySpace, yeah.
MySpace.
AOL Messenger.
Zanga.com/the obsoletionist.
But if you want to see like my collection of bits and pieces, my Instagrams where I'm the most active. But yeah, it's just at the obsoletionist. Yeah, I'm plugged in. Get over it. But yes,
Are you
the crowd?
are you friends with Tom on MySpace too?
Oh, man, I'm friends with.
He got on me right away. Thank you very much.
He was my only friend on there. What are you talking about? Oh,
my
Lord.
God.
Lord have mercy. All right, so let's call it a night there, guys. Fun show as always. We'll see you guys next week right here on the Sausage Factory YouTube channel. Take care. Have a great week. And until next time, peace.